Next question. Dwayne Reed 450. So the question here is, I really appreciate this walkthrough in reference to the video that they watched. One thing I couldn't find a good answer to anywhere is execution timelines. Say the guardrail is breached and you cut spending by 5%. How long does that client live at the lower number before you reassess? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it annual? I imagine that answer changes everything for how a real person actually budgets around this strategy. I would love to see a video just on that piece, the practical implementation side of how you work through this with clients. Awesome question. Here's your answer. The core question here is, after a retirement guardrail triggers a spending cut, how long should the lower guardrail or the lower budget, the adjusted downward budget, remain in place? Awesome question. It's going to depend on the guardrail system you used. We use a modern guardrail system. It's a Monte Carlo based guardrail system, and that's a much more technical explanation. But the direct answer to your question is, you would live at that lower budget until a upper guardrail is triggered. So you have both upper and lower guardrails in a guardrail system, no matter which system you use, if it's Guyton Klinger, modern guardrails, or any other type. And each of them is going to have a recalibration after a guardrail is triggered. So if a lower guardrail is triggered, let's use an example. Let's say $1 million portfolio, a 30% lower guardrail. So the lower guardrail triggers at $700,000 in portfolio value. So if you have a $300,000 reduction in portfolio value, you have a downward spending adjustment of 5%. Let's say that guardrail gets triggered. New guardrails get recalibrated around it. You'll have a new upper guardrail that will be usually, this is not advice and it's not direct. You have to use a software tool for this. But typically, the upper guardrail is somewhere between 4 and 12%. I mean, I've seen outrageous outliers where it's 100% above the portfolio value, but in most healthy cases, for instance, in any plan we would put our stamp of approval on that would say you can retire using this plan, we would not have an upper guardrail that is, the upper guardrail would usually be between 4 and 12%, something like that. Meaning if you had a $1 million portfolio, it would be between $1,040,000 or $1,120,000. That would, the trigger would be somewhere around there. Now, if we take it back to Dwayne, your question, if we follow this example all the way through, we have $1 million portfolio, starts at $1 million, triggers a lower guardrail that's 30% lower, so $700K, take a 5% reduction. Your new upper guardrail would likely be around 10 or 12% above that $700,000 portfolio value. If the portfolio goes up 12%, let's say, so by $84,000, so from $700,000 to $784,000, you would get a restorative upper guardrail increase. Let's say 5%. It's typically 5%. Here's the really interesting thing. 5% cut off $1 million. Let's say you're spending, I have to add another variable here. Let's say your spending was $10,000 a month. A 5% spending cut brings you down $5,000 a year. Sorry, $500 a month. So from $10,000 a month to $9,500. If you have a 5% spending increase off of a new lower base of spending, you actually don't get back to your original spending of $10,000. 5% increase on $9,500. That math is actually too complicated for me to do in my head. So $9,500, enter 1.05 times. That would bring you back to a spend of $99.75 a month. So you would be $25 short of the original spending capacity, which means you would need 2 upper guardrail triggers to break even or surpass back to your original spending capacity. The idea behind this is the guardrails are not so far apart that you never trigger them. But the way that the tool works is it's Monte Carlo historic based. And so the assumption is that when you trigger an upper guardrail, if you trigger an upper guardrail after a lower guardrail has been triggered, the synthesis is that the correction is nearly or most likely over. This is, again, not a guarantee, because obviously you have some events, big sequence of returns events where you have multiple legs, multiple downward legs to the market event. But it's a good indicator. But then again, some of the prophylactic or defensive element to this is that when you get your upper guardrail trigger to restore spending, it doesn't restore it all the way. It usually will require 2 upper guardrail triggers to restore full spending because of the nature of this, the ratios, the way percentages work. 5% of $1 million of 10,000 is bigger than 5% of 9,500. So hopefully that made sense. long story short, I've kind of gone rogue answering your question, but software will tell you, but the basically after a retirement guardrail triggers a spending cut, you let the new upper guardrail determine when the spending is restored. You don't do it off of timeline, right? It's off of when the portfolio value has recovered to trigger the upper guardrail. Could answer that in 15 seconds, but you gave me an opportunity to go rogue, so I went rogue. It's a lot more fun to do that in this type of format too, because I can't do that on the produced videos. So great question, Dwayne Reed. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access all for free.